Hiya, folks. This is Rick Emmett of Triumph.
This is Mark Merrill, also known as Johnny B. Bad.
Hi, this is a best-selling author. I threw the best-selling in there. Best-selling author Dick Wybrow.
I'm Melanie from Second Shooter.
This is Jeff with Second Shooter.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Allen from Bridges Ablaze.
Hey, this is Sammy Lee, drummer of the band Red Rain.
Yo guys, it's Mark McKay.
Hey, this is Frank Fletcher.
Hola amigos, this is Billy Sheehan.
Hey guys, this is John Karabi.
Hi, this is Jim Valance.
What's up everybody, it's Logan from All the Pretty Things.
Hey guys, it's Leather Leone.
This is Nothing from Inside the Trojan Horse.
What's up guys, Cassandra Carson here from Paralandra and the Life Project.
My name's Reggie and you are listening to the Weekly Pour podcast. Thanks so much for joining the most amazing twosome out there.
The most amazing things that can happen to a human being will happen to you if you lower your expectations. Welcome to the Weekly Pour podcast. Here are your hosts, TBT and Ace.
What in the holy business of businesses are you even doing? Are you trying to keep Kathy off of your ass?
Yes.
Okay, I don't even think she's in here. So, keep going. I'll tell you when she shows up. I hope she's watching and she sees this. Okay, now, pop it away.
Me? No.
Great. Welcome. This is the Weekly Pour podcast. My name is TBT. That guy over there is Ace. This is episode 136 of the Weekly Pour podcast. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday, the 28th of May, 2025. I will be the first to admit to you that I was not ready for this show last night. At all. I even text you and like, are you ready? Because you were like, no.
No.
And then as soon as I sent it, I was like, oh. We've moved this to Wednesday.
It's surprising that you did all the work and dug up what you did, because Memorial Day is typically news-wise for a lot of reasons. Not just in rock, but it's kind of the dead time. It's kind of the dead time. So I'm glad you found something.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. If we would have done this yesterday, there wouldn't have been anything. We'd have been like, hey, we're going to spend a whole hour talking about your concert experience.
Oh my! I don't know if I can go an hour, but
well, you would have had to yesterday.
I thought we would talk half about your drinking at the on the boat.
Me?
Because well, you have to sample, everything. Alcohol. But it's the weekly pour.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're drunk.
No, but I come back from my vacation, and it's now the weekly pour with 2 O's. Because that's the way it goes. So yeah, we've not been here for a couple weeks. I was on vacation. You were in Nashville. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Your concert experience with AC/DC and our dear friend Kathy, where you had the extraordinary thing of going down for the show only to have it canceled, or I should say postponed.
Postponed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but we'll jump into that later. Let's say hi to everybody that's in the chat right now. It looks like Mrs. TBT, Mama TBT, Kathy's in there. She said it's about time that you got your balls rolling.
Yeah,
that's
right
a
here.
good thing. There it is. I
got to put it up.
Kind of saggy. You should put more air in it.
I do. I need to blow it up a little more.
Yeah, a little wilted there. A little squishy. Squishy. That's a word I've not heard a lot this week. Who else is in here? I said Mama TBT, Kathy, and of course, producer, director, moderator extraordinaire, Natalie.
Yay.
So make sure you hit that thumbs up like I just did, so it looks like we love ourselves, which we do. If you're in watching and you haven't said anything, be sure to at least say hey. I will give Viper somewhat props for jumping in and saying that he was the first into the chat. However, I do not believe he is there anymore, or at least when he jumps in. See, that's cheating. He just walks in and says, "I'm here," and then he leaves. So I don't think that counts. She said, "Don't pop it, Kathy. That thing is not going to pop. It doesn't have enough air." We went live and he's blowing it up and didn't finish the job. Holy moly! Well, it wasn't blown up all the way. At all.
No.
Well, anyway.
It was, then I had to pull my mouth off. and plug it, and when you pull your mouth off, then the air comes out, and then it's a
you
quick move.
Blow it up and put your tongue on the hole, and then maneuver the pluggy plug into the hole, so that way when you pull it out and you push it in, all the air's already there.
I don't know, man. Sounds tricky.
It is. I don't know. Anyway, what a week. It's been a crazy week. Vacations, weather. I go from 177 degrees down to 60, fly into the Indianapolis International Airport on Sunday, just in time for the Indianapolis 500 to end, and every single school bus in the state of Indiana arriving at the airport to drop people off so they could catch their flight, go get their parked car, whatever. Absolutely insane. Only to be bombarded by more people arriving in Indianapolis for the basketball game that was happening just a couple hours later as the Knicks took on the Pacers.
Big night.
Yeah.
Big night.
Big night of Indiana sports. I was very happy to get it all out of there.
My daughter worked that night. She's a dispatcher for the state police and in Indianapolis. And every call she got was complaining about the exits being closed, because they closed, I think, every exit off the interstate for some reason to route people out of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Right.
And apparently that maybe not worked so well.
I don't know.
Because how do you get home? How do you get out, and how do you get back on the interstate? How do you get home? How do you go anywhere if you can't use an exit, right?
I was happy to use Interstate 69, and I was fine. No issues.
Good. Because it was awful, apparently. And it lasted. When did that end? About 5 o'clock? I think it was 5 o'clock, the Indianapolis 500 ended, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And we landed right after 6. So you got to think about that time to get out of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to get onto one of your 3,000 yellow school buses and transit over to the airport. So it's ridiculous.
Right. And you could think of the amount of people that were arriving, coming and going from all places, everywhere.
Yeah.
So they said something like there was a couple 100,000 people at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
And then what do they call it? Is it Conseco Fieldhouse now, where the Pacers play? Where do they play now?
It's some field house. I mean, it changes names all the time.
Gamebridge.
Yeah.
Yes. So that holds, let's say, 20,000 ish, and I mean that's a lot of people.
There were around 300.
I did hear that.
1,000 people.
I did hear that, but I thought that was such a high number. But I guess if you've got the grandstand, you've got the infield, you got the outfield. I mean, you could stick people anywhere at that speedway.
Yeah. I'm going to check something else. Attendance at Game 4 NBA.
I am actually watching NBA basketball again. First time since 1995 or something.
Right.
Because this has been fun.
Yeah. It has. I'll go ahead and say it out there right now. Go Pacers.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can't find where it says how many were there. All I know is that Pat McAfee was there and he was firing up the crowd. And
that was good.
Yeah, I don't see anything about the numbers. I'm trying to look at the numbers to see what those were. Oh well.
Besides being the official mascot of the New York Knicks, has Spike Lee directed a movie since Boys in the Hood?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Attendance for Game 4 of the 2025 NBA Finals was 17,274.
Yeah.
So and how many of the 350,000
went downtown to bars and stuff,
or went to that game. There was
or went to
time.
the game. Right, right.
Yeah.
It was not too different than when we went to Royal Rumble, and you had Royal Rumble, and then you had right was an hour difference between it starting the NBA game starting or finishing,
Right.
finishing because it started early. And I just could picture downtown being flooded with people.
Yeah,
flooded with people.
Ridiculous. Nonetheless,
The money the money that flows into downtown Indianapolis on a weekly basis during different seasons. Well, now you have the Fever doing well and actually making the WNBA relevant because of one person. I mean, it's going all the time.
But at least not for the next week.
No, she's out a couple games.
Yeah, she's injured. I don't know how many games total.
I think it was 4. So here was my thought. Like, ratings will now plummet. Like, TV sets are being turned off. Ratings plummet for 4 weeks.
Yeah. And then she'll come back and it'll be completely different. Just like she was never gone.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah. And we've mentioned this I don't know, a month or two ago, probably in March, talking about numbers and bringing money to the city of Indianapolis.
We did, yeah.
Wait for WrestleMania. I mean, Indy 500 is every year. So figure 350,000 people every year bringing that money in. You're going to have 17,000 at the NBA Finals. You're going to have Lucas Oil Stadium full for WrestleMania. The amount of money coming into Indianapolis, you would think we could find a couple $1 million just laying around.
Just laying around.
Just somewhere hiding. Weird.
Not only do you have the event WrestleMania, which is 2 nights now, you've got that whole week leading up to it. They treat it like Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
Because there's events all the time going on, around WrestleMania.
Yeah. The Hall of
even
Fame.
if you did, right. Even if you didn't go to the event itself, you might bring the kids up for some other thing,
Yeah. What is it? They call it the fan experience? The I don't know what it's called.
That's some of it, yeah. Yeah. The WWE fan experience.
Yeah, crazy. Indianapolis, lots of money. Let it trickle down. We need it.
Right. We need a couple million.
Yeah, just like 2.5, something like that.
That's laying around.
That's all. Just laying around hiding. Like, ooh, where'd that come from? That's weird. Some sad news coming out of the world of rock and roll music. Monday, May 26th, we found out that the American musician, producer, and songwriter Rick Derringer passed away. Rick Derringer, he was age 77. You will mostly know him for songs such as Hang On Sloopy, Hang On, when he was with the McCoys, and Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, which was from 1973. Rick and Derringer, also, for you wrestling fans, will know that he wrote, produced, sang, played, all that fun stuff. Real American, the entrance theme for the immortal one, Hulk Hogan. So,
how do you get that gig?
Who knows? That's not all he did, though, because he did Demolition, their song. I don't know if it had a name. I think it was called Demolition. But
who's the guy that was with him forever writing themes? Did he work with him? Jim Jeffries?
Jim Johnson?
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson. I would assume so. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, and here's something I didn't know till I was reading the I get not the obituary, but the information about Rick Derringer is that he collaborated with Steely Dan, Cyndi Lauper, and Weird Al Yankovic, and produced Weird Al Yankovic's Grammy Award-winning songs "Eat It" and "Fat." With 2 of what I would almost say are Weird Al's a couple of his most iconic songs. were produced by Rick Derringer. 77 years old, from Salina, Ohio. And lots of musicians from current time have been, throwing out on their social media some messages of support for Rick Derringer and his family. But it is an icon.
Definitely,
Another icon that I'm sure is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Probably not. I would have to look, but
I'm pretty sure he's not.
I would love to see Weird Al. Have you heard about how good his shows are?
I have.
Yeah, they're great. I wanted to say, I saw an interview. I think it was a Behind the Music with Weird Al, and he talks about, and I find it humorous. He calls it, he talks about his 2-time Grammy Award-winning career. It just kind of cracks me up because of the style of music that he plays. But he's a 2-time Grammy winner.
Yeah,
just kind of funny.
Rick Derringer's also he played the guitar solo on Exciter on the Lick It Up album by Kiss.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding. I would not shit you. You're my favorite turd.
I did not know he did that.
Yeah. Now you do. Now you do.
What was Vinnie Vincent doing?
Drugs.
No.
Shredding
too much.
Shredding.
It was shredding.
It was shredding.
No, I did not know he did that. That's fascinating.
Yep. Fascinating. He produced the wrestling album. He would go on to co-write and perform Real American, as already stated. And over 30 years later, Derringer would produce an updated version of the song, which saw him change around several lyrics. Interesting. We're not going to play it for you.
But, no less an influence that's been lost, an icon.
Yeah.
Someone that a lot of people have regarded highly, especially in all these comments they're making.
And so, Kathy says that her next concert will be Weird Al.
Yeah, and like I said, apparently they're pretty cool concerts.
Yeah,
the stuff I've seen.
Well, as we lose Rick Derringer to death at the age of 77, 64-year-old has recently announced that he's leaving his band. Huge news out of Foreigner, which we seem to talk about quite a bit
lately.
And then all of a sudden, I'm not going to just take a break. I'm leaving.
But didn't you and I kind of allude to this or think this might be what's going on?
Yeah.
They just hadn't prepared to announce it yet or something.
Yeah. And I'm thinking now, after it was announced, I think they were making plans.
Because I think one of us, I think I said that, they did that farewell tour that never ended. Kelly was the one being the face of that anyway. Time to hang it up. These songs are getting hard to sing. We've been around forever. It seems like he was the only one leaning that way. It seems that way.
Well, and it almost seems like, that the rest of them just kind of sat there and went, bye.
Yeah, right. And how long has he been there? 20 years?
At least.
At least?
So, at least. If you haven't figured it out, Kelly Hansen, lead singer for Foreigner, has decided to leave the band at the end of their 2025 summer tour. So, the announcement was featured on the May 20th season finale of The Voice, and Hansen announced his departure with a passing of the torch, if you will, to the band's guitarist, Louis Maldonado.
Right, who had done some vocals on the little Canadian tour they just did, right?
Right. Now, apparently nothing is wrong with Hansen. He just says, and this is a quote directly from him, "It's just time for me to do other things in my life while I still can. And it's been a great experience for me, and I have nothing but love for this organization and all the guys in the band. But I have other things. I have other fish I want to fry." He continued to add that the band's going to continue on with Louie, and I'm probably going to pop in here and there and say hi. I've got a fairly new family I want to spend time with. I've got a lot of projects I want to complete. I want to do some cooking. So who knows what's going to come out in the future? Maybe some cooking stuff. Great.
It's interesting too because he says he might pop in here and there, and Lou Graham has been popping around here and there with them as well. It's kind of cool. You can pull people from the past iterations of that band and have them join in and do something. But I don't know what to think about this. It's what is Foreigner now? What has it been for the last however long this has been going on? A lot of people talk about it being not even really Foreigner, but more of a Foreigner tribute. Now you don't even have an original member.
And next year is their 50th anniversary.
Really?
Yeah, because they were formed in 1976. So now you're looking at 50 years come next year. So, yeah.
Yeah, right.
He'll pop in during that tour, I'm sure. A tribute tour.
When it's convenient, when it's close by, he probably won't travel.
Right.
That's the whole point of all of this, is to not travel.
Yeah.
But I just don't even know. You're selling the logo, you're selling the music. They're certainly not going to put out new music. There's no reason for that.
Well, I wouldn't think so.
There's I don't remember the guy's name, but there was another singer, the first one after Lou Graham on a Unusual Heat is the name of the record. Anyone heard from that guy? Is he going to pop in too?
Probably.
Probably. Do a song here and there.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I met Kelly Hansen holy moly, 88, 89, somewhere around there at Mother's Records and Tapes. Yeah, his Hurricane days. They were on tour opening for Stryper. And I don't remember if it was Record Bar or Mother's Records and Tapes or something, but I was in Virginia Beach and went to a record store signing because that's what bands used to do.
Yes.
And it was your chance to meet both Stryper and Hurricane. So the opening act plus the headliner, which was really cool. That's one of the ways that's how I first met Skid Row too. So.
And it's pretty cool with that too. You didn't have to pay, did you? No VIP package.
Oh no.
No anything like that. You went to the record store because they had something to promote.
Right.
And you could shake hands, take a picture, and move on, probably, right? Get an autograph, whatever.
You didn't even have to buy like their photo. I took a jean jacket.
Yeah.
And had them sign the back of my jean jacket because, that was cool. I didn't have to go buy their 8x10 for $35 and then stand in line.
Right. Because now everything's a hustle.
Yeah.
Everything's a hustle, and everyone's trying to make as much money as possible. When you have people that you invite as guests on your show, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come on your show for $500."
Yeah,
$500.
We won't mention any names, but that's exactly what it is. It's all I'm not going to say anything about who it was, but if you're not, how do I say this? If you're not as relevant as you think you are, don't charge $500 for an appearance on a podcast.
Right.
You need the exposure as much as we do.
Exactly.
But that's something that legit happened to Ace and I when Ace was in communication with somebody to try to get on the show, and they were like, "Oh, I don't." And correct me if I'm wrong. It was, "Oh, I don't really do podcasts that much, but sure, I'd love to." A $500 appearance fee. I hope you left that on red.
I did. I left it alone. I I remember texting you and saying, "Is this what this person's saying? $500?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, they are. They want money."
Yeah.
No,
And
we're
considering
not
the
doing that.
guests that we've had, there's no way. The ones that we've had, some of the ones that we've had, well worth $500.
Right. But we won't pay, and we don't pay, and
No.
I don't know anyone that does.
Ask Natalie. She doesn't get paid to moderate this thing.
Right, right.
Or produce it.
Unusual Heat, the singer performer at that point in time, the most pedestrian rock name you could ever have, Johnny Edwards.
Ah.
Did anyone tell him to get a better name?
No. Yeah, better name like Kelly Hansen.
Right, that's who it is, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. No, nobody told him that.
No.
So you're talking about, you just said a while ago, you wonder if they'll release any new music, saying they don't have to. And you're right.
No.
A lot of bands don't have to, but some of them do it just to do it. And that's what we found out today, as it came across the wire, that creating and recording new music is often considered a lifeblood of any band. We all know that. That's what you do. You create music.
Especially if you are a creative person.
Right. So with their 18th, that's 1-8, their 18th studio album, STYX, is releasing the highly anticipated Circling from Above soon. Now, you can get an autographed CD or buy the actual vinyl copy now and get it in, but it's not going to actually be fully released, I think, until July.
Oh, I
like
don't
that.
doubt
July 18th.
Yeah, we'll have a single, right? Or do we have a single out already?
Oh, we have a single. There is a
I haven't
single
heard it
out
yet.
already called "Build and Destroy." Feel free to listen to it and make your own judgments. It's definitely STYX.
I'm a big STYX fan. Kathy is as well. I'm a big STYX fan, and we were hoping. They put out a record, the first new one in a long time, a few years back, called "The Mission," and it was excellent, excellent. And we were hoping "Crash of the Crown" would be just as good, and that was a bit of a weird record.
Right.
So maybe we'll return to form on this one. I'm hoping.
Well, and Crash of the Crown was what, 2021?
Something like that. Yeah.
So now we're looking 4 years later, 4 years, and they're putting this one out. Again, it is called Circling from Above. The new single is, what is it? Build and Destroy.
Build and Destroy, which
I listened to it about
like
20 minutes ago.
I'll have to check it out. I didn't know until you sent me the story that this was happening, but I think there were hints, social media hints.
Oh, for sure.
A few weeks back, because I was told about a few of them, and that they might be putting out a record.
Yeah.
This is something that Lawrence Gowan, who is the keyboard player for STYX, who took over for Dennis DeYoung, who was a founding member, wanted to do was create new music. His thing is, why are we in a band if we don't create music? And he kind of pushed those guys, and it took a while, but he finally got them on board to, start putting out records and not just touring on the old catalog, which is fine. I mean, that's what people come to see anyway. That's what Foreigner is doing. They're touring on that old catalog. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm excited about something new from this band.
Well, and it's funny you mention Lawrence, because he's actually singing lead on Build and Destroy.
Awesome. Yeah. He's a good singer. He's good. Go ahead.
This is a direct quote from him. He says that the melody feels a little Star Trek or Twilight Zone. And he is not wrong. So when you listen to it, I'm eager for your text to let me know what you think.
Mr. Roboto, Digital Viper, is not my favorite, although I don't mind it. It's not my favorite, but
It's just funny that Viper decided to come back in after saying, "Oh, I'm first," and then leaving.
And now he's back.
Yeah, 25 minutes later.
But Lawrence is a perfect replacement. If you can't replace Tennessee Young, but he's the perfect guy for that role. He has that type of voice, and he's an excellent instrumentalist. I just wonder how hard it would be to stay creative when you're pushed into that mold of making the STYX sound that was originated by another guy.
Right.
I think that would be fun, trying to make sure everything sounds that way. Maybe that's where the creativity comes from, making sure it sounds like STYX. But I'm excited. I'll listen to it and let you know what I think.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like STYX. I mean, there's almost no mistaking it. But yeah, you'll have to let me know. You have to let me know what you think, because I'm curious, very curious.
Yeah, and it's cool they put a record out because these guys never stop touring. They never take a break. Just a few years ago, James Young was going to slow down and drop out, and I don't think that's even happened.
Right. Exactly.
It's hard. It's hard to give that up once you can just keep doing it all your life.
Speaking of not giving up and doing it for almost your entire life, Metallica, who continues to tour for the last 17 years straight, it seems.
Forever.
The Black Album from Metallica from 1991 just reached a pinnacle, being certified platinum for the 20th time. Platinum, 1 million, 20th time. Do that math. 20 million copies. To put that in perspective, Master of Puppets has just been certified 8 times platinum.
I'm not surprised with that, in the sense that just because of one TV show, Master of Puppets has gained a ton of momentum. That's a popular album among Metallica fans.
Absolutely.
But it was never a mainstream thing. And Stranger Things made that a mainstream song, for one, and now a mainstream record, apparently. So that doesn't surprise me. I wonder what it was before Master of Puppets. I mean, before Stranger Things.
Before Stranger Things. That's a good question.
I guarantee it was a platinum record.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because it had all that time to gestate and build up, but I don't think it was close to 8 million.
It was probably more like 7.
I would guess, what's the one before the Black Album? And Justice for All.
And Justice
would be the higher one than that at that time. Yeah. Now you got me curious, but
it may be. I don't know. It was just, the fact that it just crossed over the 8 million mark. The 86 breakthrough third LP, Master of Puppets from Metallica, having sold more than 8 million copies, the heaviest rock album ever to be selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Master of Puppets has been regarded as a watershed moment in the history of rock music. I mean, that's kind of cool. I wonder who wrote that.
It's high praise.
Yeah. 3 years ago, Master of Puppets' title track saw new life in the U.S. after its inclusion in season 4 of Stranger Things. Popularity of the 86 song brought it back to the Billboard Hot 100 chart for the first time ever in the band's lengthy career.
And that show's still going on, isn't it?
I don't have any clue.
I think it is. I think there's a season coming.
I don't know. Fun fact for that version of Master of Puppets, Ty Trujillo, son of Metallica bassist Robert Trujillo, contributed additional guitar tracks to the version of Master of Puppets which appeared on Stranger Things.
So
that's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Speaking of Metallica, I don't even know if you know about this. A family has claimed that their Metallica concert plans saved them from a car that crashed into their home earlier this month.
So they were going to the show, and by happenstance, they happened to be gone.
No, the family had tickets to a Metallica show, so they decided to go to bed a bit earlier than normal, rather than stick to their usual routine of watching TV in the living room of their home. Hours after going to sleep, a driver crashed through the house and right into the living room. So, had they not had this concert to go to,
So my scenario was totally different. I had them out of the house on the way to the concert.
Yeah,
no, they were home.
Yeah, going to bed early.
What is that like when someone crashes through your living room?
I do not know. I do not know.
No, I don't, because no one's ever done it to mine.
No, not knock on wood. They'd have to come down a long driveway to crash through mine.
And be out in the middle of literally nowhere.
Correct. I want to buzz through a couple other things because I want to give you plenty of time to talk about your experience last week in Nashville. Real quick, two things I want to cover. I told you guys it was going to happen, and it did. 2 weeks ago, right before the Billboard announced their top 200 album chart, I told you that Sleep Token would take it, and guess what? They did. Sleep Token topped the Billboard 200 album chart with their latest effort, Even in Arcadia. This would be the second rock band in 3 weeks, not counting last week because we weren't here, to take this. So a lot of people are thinking, maybe finally rock's getting some recognition or making a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for days. Right? That's how it goes. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not looking to see how much they did, but I found it anyway. Sleep Token's fourth studio album, Even in Arcadia, became the chart topper for the week dated May 24th, with 127,000 equivalent album units in the U.S. That made it the biggest week by units for any rock album in nearly a year, and the biggest for any hard rock album in 2 years. Additionally, the set's streaming numbers were so big that it was the largest streaming week ever for a hard rock album. Of Even in Arcadia's opening week sales, album sales accounted for 73,500 of the final total. That was good enough for the record to also sit at number one on the top album sales chart. So yeah, good for them. And moving on to give you plenty of time, unless you have something to say.
I just find it crazy that we're seeing this now from these two bands. It's crazy. It's good for rock and roll, that's for sure. But these aren't the two bands I thought would do it.
No way.
But it's good. It's good. I'm glad for it.
Yeah, and you're right. We could go on for days on that. And our friends inside the Trojan Horse, just this past Friday, released their second EP entitled Origins. It features 3 tracks, Dogs, 15, and Children, with the single basically being Dogs, and a video for Dogs has premiered as well. I'm not sure which one's my favorite. I've been leaning towards Children. It's a very good EP. That really sounded horrible.
It did.
I saw okay. Anyway, I'm leaning towards the track Children because it's good. But if you haven't checked it out, check it out. The EP is Origins from the guys of Inside the Trojan Horse, which brings us with, about 20 minutes to spare for you to speak in depth about your Nashville, Tennessee experience with AC/DC on night one. Or wait, was it night two?
Right. First of all, got to see AC/DC. That was as Kathy would say, a bucket list band. I was fortunate enough that she got tickets and invited me to go with her to Nashville to see them at Nissan Stadium. So that was originally supposed to be a Tuesday night show. And all the way down, we're checking weather. We're checking weather because we know there's a chance of rain. And at the beginning of the day, it's like 30%. 30% chance of rain, is not that big a deal. And who knows what kind of rain we're going to get, right? Right. So by the time we stop and eat, we check into the hotel, we stop and eat, and now we're seeing the TV in the restaurant is nothing but severe weather. But it's all around. It's in Kentucky. It's, a little north, a little west, whatever. And, but it's severe. We're talking tornado weather, that type of thing, which, Kathy moved at the perfect time because this is the worst season we've had, I think, for tornadoes and storms and rain and pestilence and locusts and all of that. But yeah, it was getting increasingly worse. But the sun was still out. We're looking outside. The sun's still out. It's fine. We get, okay, first of all, they're building a new stadium next to Nissan Stadium. I don't know what the parking situation was prior to that, if they're building it on where the parking lot was, but there's no parking. There's no parking less than a mile from that stadium. And maybe half a mile if you're lucky. If you're lucky. So she prepaid for parking, though. She prepaid for parking. So we go to the street where the parking is supposed to be, and we're driving up and down the street. And there's even a little photo on the website. She's showing me the photo, and we can't identify this building. We figured out, why we can't identify the building? It's not there.
That's a good reason.
It's been demolished. So there is a homeless man sitting in the parking lot that I think was supposed to be the attendant, but we're not sure. So Kathy ate the money on that one. We weren't going to park in a lot with a demolished building, no one else around.
Well, plenty of parking.
Turned out, well, yeah, no one else had parked there. There was not even a car close. I mean, and it was about 2 miles. I think it was longer, way longer. Had we parked there, we would have been exhausted. Well, we already were. So we want to move closer. We find a parking garage downtown, where all the bars and everything else that everyone goes to Nashville for, all that stuff. Now we have to walk and then cross a bridge. We have to walk up steps. We have to get to the bridge. We have to get to the pedestrian bridge. It's utterly ridiculous. Ridiculous. So about halfway across that bridge, the storm is coming. The clouds are coming. You can see it. And we're like, they better not cancel. They better not cancel. They didn't cancel. They postponed. We were lucky enough to meet a couple halfway across that bridge who stopped us and said, hey, they got signs out everywhere. It's been postponed. And then all of a sudden, the people around us, everyone's looking at their phones because they're getting notifications now that, from Ticketmaster or AC/DC or whomever saying it's been postponed. Luckily, to the next day, because they could have postponed it. Right. But they could have pushed it out a month, right? Or even further out. But the way the tour is structured, because of their age and Brian Johnson's vocal productivity, he needs days off to rest his voice, right? For the way he sings. Well, they had at that point 4 days. So they had a buffer. They had 3 days to Chicago. They scheduled for the next day. So we're irritated. We've already had a hotel that we paid for. You know, we've had 2 parking lots that we paid for nothing, for no reason. Now we got to get a hotel, reserve our room again. And let me tell you, we get back to the car and the deluge came. It
what
was
about the rain?
Exactly, the rain. The rain was a torrential downpour. You know, and as much as we were irritated, the next day we realized that was actually the best decision AC/DC could have made.
Right.
Because there's no way we would have enjoyed sitting in that rain, trying to watch that show. And it lasted about an hour. Yeah, about an hour. Still, you would have been there early, right? Sitting in the rain. Next day, perfect weather. I mean, it could not have been better weather for an outdoor stadium concert. So we researched parking. We found a church that was 10 minutes, about 10 minutes from the stadium. Charged, you know, a certain fee. It wasn't a lot compared to what we could have paid. Park at the church.
Sure.
We start walking. I think we walked half a mile, about half a mile, and I thought maybe this did happen, but I thought maybe there would be a lot of tickets up for sale online from people who canceled the night before and couldn't stay. I don't know what happened, but that place was still packed. Still packed. So we get there early, we get our seats. It's beautiful, TBT. The we're right in the end zone, straight on stage. We can see everything except we've got this giant sound tower right in front of us. It's whatever. We're still going to have to look at the stage monitors anyway, you know, to see anything.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of the Pretty Reckless, Taylor Momsen's band. They opened, and amazing. They started a little bit late. I think the show was supposed to be originally 7:00. The next night, I think they bumped it, so we're thinking 8:00. It was more like 8:20, something like that. Pretty Reckless comes out, does their set. They are fantastic. Pitch perfect. Taylor Momsen is, and she owns that stage like she's the headliner.
Right.
So the benefit for them opening is that they're on a huge stadium tour, right? Because anyone I talked to around us did not know who the Pretty Reckless were.
I'm
right?
shocked.
Yeah, there was quite a few people that had never heard of them. I think they were casual rock fans that were more, hey, AC/DC still alive? That kind of person, you know. So they benefit from this because by the time their set was done, they were probably halfway through. That stadium was full. The stadium was full. And then the people around me are like blown away by how good they are. You know, so Taylor gets and her band gets the benefit of being on that big tour because at least halfway through their set, they're getting pretty much a full stadium, right? And you know how you have to wait sometimes like a full hour for the headliner? Nah, we had to wait 20 minutes. It was not very long. It was not very long. And I got goosebumps when they hit those first chords to If You Want Blood. That's what they've been opening with. Got goosebumps. Couldn't believe that we were hearing this band. And I know you're not an ACD fan, but I think if you had been there, you would have been impressed just by how much energy
absolutely.
is there.
Absolutely.
Right. Angus Young, not young anymore, but
Angus old.
Right. Ran around like a kid all night. Didn't miss a note on every solo. Pitch perfect. Brian Johnson, okay. In his vocal style anyway, it was never a perfect style. It's a heavy metal, hard rock style that he adopted. So he can get away with some things. And he showed his age. It didn't matter. It did not matter. Not one person cared that Brian Johnson was not 20 years old anymore or 30 years old. He's 77 years old up there, and he had as much energy as Angus. He wasn't skipping around like the schoolboy, but he was full of energy, working the stage, song to song to song. At one point, he after the first song, he came out and he made some sort of comment. And I thought he was thanking us for hanging around, because of the rain or something like that. But his accent is so thick. His Cockney British accent is so thick, I could not understand a word he said. So I had to wait for a review the next day for them to tell me what he had. He was basically thanking us for hanging around and thanking the crew because they had to put that set up, tear it down because they postponed the show, and then build it back up again the next day.
Could you imagine?
And which they had, right? Well, they haven't done that because they've had 2-3 days off between shows. So this is and as old as that band is, they could get away with their set list being a bit shorter.
Oh,
there's headliners. You and I think have seen headliners that are older and they're playing 15 songs,
right?
16 songs, something like that, right? 21 songs, AC/DC. 21 songs, and left a couple on the table they could have played, but I don't think there was a person that left there disappointed. Not one person. It was loud. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you're talking about everything that they went through. One of the articles that I was reading after you went and you sent me your review, which was a great thing to get as you're getting ready to, leave out, said that the show spanned their decades-long catalog, including a cut from the 2020 Power Up album, and didn't overlook crowd favorites such as Thunderstruck, You Shook Me All Night Long, and Shoot to Thrill. And Young, at 70 years old, put on the show of an 18-year-old chock full of energy with quick guitar work and plenty of Chuck Berry-inspired fancy footwork. Kathy points out a 15-minute guitar solo.
Yes, and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. He's dripping sweat. What's funny about Angus is that when he comes out, he's in the full schoolboy outfit. Got the hat, got the tie, got the the little jacket.
Sure.
End of the night, I thought I was seeing a strip tease for a little bit because now he's just in the white shirt. It's unbuttoned. It's dripping in sweat. It's blowing in the fans. The breeze kind of thing, and he is just sweating rock and roll right there on stage as he plays that 10-15 minute solo. Phenomenal. And like I said, didn't miss a note all night. And the backing band, which is AC/DC, but you don't have Cliff, you don't have Malcolm, who passed away, you don't have Phil Rudd, who's I think in prison or something, but those guys are a little bit younger, but they were excellent because they sounded like they should sound. They didn't take the stage away from the two guys you came to see, which was, AC/DC is Angus and Brian. So it was fantastic. The band was great. The set was perfect. The weather was better. It was perfect. And just a big, loud rock show. And people were losing their minds over how good this was. Like, just glad to be there, seeing this band. Like I said, I got goosebumps. And I'm not saying it's the best concert I ever saw. It might have been the best concert experience I ever had. That's fair to say. That's fair to say. And, Kathy made new friends. The couple next to us, a girl named Marta from Nicaragua, and her husband Joe or whatever from South Carolina. I don't know what. I'm not saying anything about how she made it here to America, but I think maybe there was a catalog or an internet service or something. But she was very nice. She was
here's
very
what
nice.
Puts this and Kathy she blurted it right out there. Mail order bride. But you know what? if you had a J.C. Penney or the Sears catalog back in the day, you could order anything. You just said that, with them all being together, put it in perspective. These guys have been playing since 1973. That's 50 years. That's 51 years.
Right.
Almost 52 years that they've been playing together. And here they are, still in their 70s.
Yep.
And they may not be pumping out a lot of new music and all that, but good grief. And
what?
Stevie Young, the rhythm guitarist,
Right.
is the nephew of Malcolm and Angus.
Right. Looks just
So
like
it's
them.
still in the family.
Oh, definitely. And that was neat because it was still, someone in the family playing that rhythm parts. But they played almost half the set, which maybe this shouldn't surprise me, but it kind of did a little bit. Half the set was Bon Scott stuff because it's all good stuff, right? This is a band that, in my opinion, it's like Van Halen for me.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter, except Gary Sharon, who the singer is. It's all good, and Brian Johnson doesn't not put effort into something he didn't have anything to do with. He puts everything he has into those Bon Scott songs. He does great. Of course, he's been performing them as well longer than Bon was in the band, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm telling you, if they ever come around again, which I don't think will happen, you should go see them because it's amazing.
Am I correct in what I'm reading that they played 21 songs?
21 songs.
Holy moly. I love the fact that they ended it with For Those About to Rock.
Right, that's pretty standard for them, but they had the cannons out.
Oh, perfect.
Yep. They had the row of cannons, firing them off. Whenever Brian Johnson would yell fire, they're firing cannons. Fireworks at the end, confetti at the end, almost like Kiss would do, like that. There was also a little bit of pyro, not much, but what was really cool were, these shows, you have the big screens, right?
Yeah.
So you can see these screens were the stage. So they're back behind the band. And there are three of them, and they were enormous. And they would do such cool special effects with the band, on those screens. Like during Thunderstruck, they had Brian and Angus covered in lightning, and whenever Angus would strike a chord, lightning. Whenever Brian makes a gesture, he's got lightning and electricity all around his hands. It's cool special effects like that.
Yeah,
they did. A big chunk of the night. I've got video, and I wanted to upload the video to our YouTube page, but I'm having issues with it. I got to figure out because there's some good stuff. And again, it's like when we went to the Tom Kiefer show. Yeah, and Tom is older, and Tom has had notable throat problems.
Right.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared when we saw Kiefer. No one cared here.
Yeah.
Because it's real. No tapes, no bullshit. Now we did think Brian Johnson was going to die, at least twice. At least twice. Third song in, Kathy nudges me and said he's already struggling. We're not picking. We're just watching because he's older.
You're
we're
noticing.
Watching. We're noticing. I didn't notice it like she did, but I think at one point he even grabbed his throat or touched his throat, I strained it right there.
Ouch,
that
hurts.
About halfway through, she nudges me again and says, "Someone needs to get this man a chair. He's going to have a heart attack." But he's up there just, playing his heart out, singing his heart out. He gets over to the corner toward the end. I think shook me all night long. He's coming over to engage with the crowd. Brian Johnson starts to kneel. 77 years old, creaky knees, right? Starts to kneel. I didn't think he was kneeling. I thought he was having a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, he's dying right here. No, he was just getting down to, slap some hands, that
20
kind of thing.
minutes later.
Yeah.
We're high-fiving. Yep.
Right. And then he gets up and it's good. Everything's good. Brian's okay. So we didn't see anyone die. He was amazing. It was all good. And once you walk through Nissan Stadium, you see why they're building a new one. That
Really?
stadium was built in 1999 and might be the dirtiest stadium I've ever been in.
1999 wasn't that long ago.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yankee Stadium was built in the 20s, right? And they just built a new one a few years ago.
The Chicago Cubs have been playing at Wrigley Field since like 1812.
Exactly.
Don't understand.
The state of Tennessee is their thing was it was going to cost them, I think, 180 million to renovate the stadium to get it up to code, 200 to build a new one.
Wow.
So
imagine that.
Now, there you go.
Yeah. Well, I am certainly happy that that you and Kathy had a good time. Even though after that first night that was postponed, I was like, oh man, they're not going to get to go at all because, like you said earlier, nobody expects it to be the next night. It's usually we'll see you in September.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I'm glad that did not happen with you guys because that made finding parking much easier.
I did, and I'm on the phone, with my boss right away, like, hey, I hope you don't need me tomorrow because I'm staying here in Tennessee.
Because I'm going to be there.
So no, it was all worked out, no issues, and it was awesome. I'm telling you, not the best concert I've ever been to, but best experience I've ever had.
That's excellent. Well, we are the best experience you're going to have on a Wednesday night anyway, at least until we get off of here. But yeah, we'll be back next week. I am TBT. That guy's Ace, that guy over there. A couple new people that have jumped in on the chat. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys coming by. Check out some of our older stuff. Hopefully we'll be back next week with even more news. Hopefully nothing from Skid Row. And maybe nothing from Sammy Hagar, but we will see. Or Foreigner, for that matter. I do have one thing, though. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
$2 million.